John's here.
Well, we got a quorum. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Is Stella here?
Stella's here.
Okay, we're ready to go. It's 5:30.
I'm sure you know.
5:28 actually. Now they told me, I said, listen, I went this morning and I got my book and they had their whatever their media deal and they went through all their spiel. So they sent me the agenda for tonight, right?
There's two of
I said,
them.
this is the same thing we did this morning. Why do I have to do this again? And going like, we just wanted you to be there. I said, I got a city meeting. I said, I'd be happy to. I said, I already arranged for Rose. She goes, what are we going to do this for? You know, they're going like, I don't really know. So I
So
said,
are they gonna do it?
Why don't I just skip it? I mean,
Good.
I said, I already did. We're going to give you another book. I said,
I only need one.
well, no, I already paid for 10. You know, I said, I'm a sponsor of it. You know, I said, you can thank me in abstention.
Sure, why not? That's funny.
You know, but I.
That's good. I have patient in labor, although I don't expect her to deliver, but I was like starting to get nervous.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't mind. You know, I would love to go to it, but I mean, for like what I saw today, it's the same thing that I did this morning.
Poor things, they don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, I said, Sandra, I said, what is it that we're doing differently than I think we did this morning? She feels like, because she says, I'm giving you the agenda for tonight. I said, deja vu all over again. I said, I've heard that one. You know.
The mood lighting would be different or something.
I was telling.
I have a question. The BCIC, which position is that?
BCIC, the 4B.
There's 4 appointments.
Because Franklin submitted an application and he's not.
Did you ask Estella? You got to ask Estella.
I asked her.
Why don't we ask after we get through with Jim? Okay, let's go. And they describe the slide as says, my ex-wife says I'm self-absorbed. And that hits right somewhere where I was talking to you. So
Exactly.
that's why I left it.
I'm sorry, apologize. Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop and a regular meeting on Tuesday, February the 7th, 2012 at 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop item A, presentation on Brownsville 21 project, discovering Brownsville's historic places, funded by a Preserve America grant with matching from the Brownsville Historical Association, City of Brownsville, and Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation. Workshop item B, presentation on downtown historic district.
My name is Delina Barrera. I function as the director for the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation. I'm coming here to present the Preserve America project. The Preserve America project is a White House initiative. It was recognized to protect and celebrate the heritage, using historic assets for economic development and community revitalization, and encourage people to experience and appreciate local historic resources through education and heritage tourism. Just to give a little bit of background, back in 2006, the old city cemetery was in a state of neglect and subject to vandalism. Former Commissioner Camarillo did convene a meeting to try to address this issue. As a result, the Brownsville Historical Association did submit funding to BCIC, and 2 different projects were funded that are related to this particular larger project, which was the Historic City Cemetery Project and the Explore Historic Brownsville Project. At that time, because it was convened with many different departments within the city, one of those being the Management Information Systems Department, they noticed that there was a grant that was related to the work that was going to be done. They contacted both BCIC, the director for BCIC, and Brownsville Historical Association. At that time, then, we looked through the grant. We found out that we also had to be a Preserve America city in order to be eligible for the grant. Thus, working cooperatively between these three groups, we went on ahead and submitted both an application for the Preserve America designation and for the grant in February of 2007. What was used for matching funds was the BCIC funding to the Brownsville Historical Association, which was a cash match. BHA, Brownsville Historical Association, in-kind and also copyrighted photos, and the City of Brownsville MIS Department in-kind. In March 2007, the City of Brownsville was notified that we were a Preserve America community. And in October of 2007, we held a ceremony for this Preserve America designation in conjunction with the Historic Battlefield Trail and Linear Park opening and the Old City Cemetery Center. In June of 2007, we were notified that we did receive the grant for $132,870 for this Brownsville 21 project that was submitted. In July of that same year, in 2007, we went to DC and they granted the award was granted to the mayor at that time for the City of Brownsville, and it was, again, the First Lady initiative. In October 2007, the grant was actually, the contract was actually executed. The components of this Brownsville 21 project included improvements at the cemetery, along with improvements to the cemetery markers and the creation of a cemetery brochure, which you have in front of you, kiosk, photo murals, pictorial DVDs, walking tours, including audio tour both in English and Spanish, a children's audio tour in both English and Spanish, walking tour MP3 players, and a walking tour brochure, including also plaques. So as you can see, we were quite ambitious in what we had planned out to do for this particular grant application. In 2008, we started with putting the bullet-resistant covers on security lighting at the cemetery. On-site security also began at that time, and camera surveillance. One of the reasons for the bullet-resistant covers is because one of the issues that the city was facing is, although they kept replacing the lighting, they kept getting shot out. So with these covers, we were able to address that issue. And so you can see photos there of both the cover on the lighting and the security cameras. The cemetery improvement, 2008, you can see some of the work, some photos of the work that was being done. That means picking up some of the markers that had been knocked over, repairing those. And the Brownsville Historical Association continues the cleanups over at the cemetery, and they have also provided classes in how to properly restore the markers at the actual cemetery. At the cemetery itself, we had 28 cemetery markers highlighting notable people interred at the Old City Cemetery. Markers, again, were designed so that people could conduct self-guided cemetery tours. So you can see photos there of the markers that were put into place. A cemetery brochure was created also that was finalized in 2011. Again, BHA then has been very aggressive in marketing many of these different items. During the 2008-2009 period, this is when the kiosks, those you see there at the right, were ordered. Software vendor was contracted, data was developed, and sites also were assessed for connectivity. And again, this is, like I said, a partnership between all of these different entities working together. And this gives you a sample of the kiosk storyboards if you haven't yet looked at the kiosk, but as it was being developed. 10 kiosks were installed at the BISD Museum, Masonic Lodge, COB Heritage Office, the City Cemetery, the Brownsville Heritage Museum, Market Square Research Center, the Brownsville South Padre Island Airport. In that particular instance, that was a request made by the airport, again, because of the incoming people as far as a tourism type site. City Plaza, one of the reasons City Plaza was chosen was because of the fact that there's bathrooms there. So that was kind of a centerpiece. One of the things that we're also looking at then is possibly moving one of the kiosks over now to the multimodal at the bus multimodal, because again, for that same reason, which is if you've ever been a tourist in any kind of community throughout anywhere in not only the country and the world, that is a key issue as a tourist as you're looking at various sites or visiting a different area. And then also at the Oliveda Library on the college campus. Posters and decals were also added to try to increase visibility and where the kiosks were situated. Also, as a part of this, in 2008, 2009, many of y'all may have seen the photo murals that were going up around town. We have 10 of them that were installed, the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce. That's the 1940s Fort Brown soldiers. The Ueta duty-free store. That's the photo you see to the right, the 1940s International Bridge. Brownsville Heritage Complex, that's East Washington and 13th Street, showing the Porfirio Diaz house. On East 13th and East Elizabeth, which shows a 1910s Elizabeth Street scene. East 11th Street and East Levy, which shows a 1930s scene. East 10th and East Elizabeth showing a 1920s Elizabeth Street scene. East Washington and 12th, a 1950s Washington and 12th Street scene. The Tapiz building, the approximately 1890s Market Square, East Adams, and between 10th and 11th, the 1953 fire station, and at Putnick Elementary, 1890 grammar school. Again, if you were to look at the photo murals kind of as a walking trail for the photo murals, that's what it would look like just in a quick snapshot and the locations of these photo mural sites. The photo murals did get good publicity, including being televised as a segment on Con Mi Gente, and also it also came out in the newspaper when we had just started putting up those photo murals. Again, this shows you the pictorial DVDs. It was also, it has 100 different photos that was also created, and local regional folk music is also featured on it. We have the walking tours. Again, this was a coordination of volunteers to develop the text for the downtown tours. They had to be translated, and then the CD was produced. The Children's Museum was a great assistance. They also then coordinated volunteers and were able to then develop text for the children's version. The text was translated, CDs were produced, and then the MP3s were also procured so that that could be another method of being able to conduct the tours. Again, the CDs feature 6 downtown tours, and then you have the children's tours, the MP3. Again, all of these items are available at the Brownsville Heritage Museum. The walking tour, then brochure, was also designed to complement the other projects. Again, on the plaques, this took several years to do research, information from various sources. Multiple plaques formats were reviewed, bids were procured, and the text was written both in English and Spanish. And so you can see that a total of 77 plaques were installed throughout the community. Again, as a result of this work, it played a major role in the City of Brownsville getting the First Lady's Texas Treasures Award, and also the City of Brownsville receiving the Texas Society of Architects Citation Award. Again, this is a website where the Brownsville 21 project is on the Brownsville Historical Association website. So that gives you a very quick overview of a project, which was the Preserve America Brownsville 21 project.
Very good, very good.
Okay.
Is there a link to this on the Convention and Visitor Bureau?
I'll need to double check to see if there is. I know that we have done that on the BCIC as requested by the board, but I'll double check on theirs. But I do know that they do have a link to the Brownsville Historical Association website, of which all this is contained on.
It's nice, very nice.
And Doctor, I think also with the acquisition of buildings in the future, we will need to kind of discuss as to where else we might want to think about those kiosks to highlight the history of Brownsville.
One of the things, and this is just a very short presentation, kind of showing that these types of initiatives have other things that can grow from them. And in this case, it's a downtown historic district. This is kind of a homegrown kind of grassroots initiatives that a group of citizens here have taken the initiative to start walking in the historic downtown, kind of doing a healthy initiative, historic downtown, which is kind of health storic. Again, trying to promote the healthy initiative for the city. And so as you can see there in the distance there, they walk in the downtown area. There's many advantages, whether there's low traffic early morning and evenings. There's interesting sites. You can learn about history, historic buildings, architecture, plaques, historical markers, murals. In fact, this group, when they started walking, one of the things that prompted them is that they were watching literally signage go up, so it became kind of a game for them to see where they would see new signage as they were doing their walking. Again, the downtown area is extremely well lit, and this, as I was just mentioning, they were watching as these different plaques were literally popping up all over town. This shows how well lit the downtown area is. Again, this is kind of to promote, and this group was very interested in promoting the downtown area. You can have fellowship and exercise. You can walk and talk and share your memories. You can experience basically the sounds of downtown and start understanding and realizing the potential for the downtown area. Again, then this is just some photos of as they were walking. They believe that, you know, all of us can be a very, very positive impact to historic downtown, and we can all help in this initiative by coming downtown, visiting the museums, and patronizing and going to the businesses in this downtown area. Also, as you can tell, one of the things that they noted also is that it is quite well patrolled in the evenings, and they were enjoying the transformation, enjoying all the activities, including seeing the multimodal construction, the building restoration, Market Square, mercaditos, festivals, and concerts. This is a photo they took while they were showing the transformation of the multimodal. Again, you have many opportunities from a health perspective, from going around Washington Park Plaza, where a lap is basically a third of a mile, 5K is 11 laps. Washington Plaza also has a very diverse group of individuals that you can go by any evening. One of the things that Valley Baptist joined in this particular group, emphasizing the health benefits of being able to do an exercise program, including lowering your LDL, the bad cholesterol, increasing your HDL, lowering your blood pressure, managing your weight, improving the mood. Again, all of these types of things that the city is trying to promote with many of the other health programs. Again, they encourage you to prepare before you walk to try to avoid any injuries, and as always, safety is in numbers anytime you go out anywhere in any area. And so this group would like to have people get involved, to make a commitment, and to walk the downtown area. It's healthy, it's historic, and it's our home.
Comments. In the vein of transparency, I want you to know that Rosendo sends me a text almost every time you all walk out there and invites me. So thank you, Rosendo. Go ahead.
I think it's a wonderful project that I hope grows, and I'd like to invite Rosendo and your group that worked on this to work with us as we begin to develop the concept of ciclovias here in Brownsville, just like in Bogota and Seville, and even in San Antonio. Your group knows downtown, you have a great perspective, and hopefully we can work together to expand this.
Thank you.
See, Rose, they're already biking Brownsville.
Perfect.
Only the little ones use the cars down there.
They're
So.
not supposed to be driving on the sidewalks.
Very good, Doctor. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it. Okay. Estella, I think we finished with our workshop a
Our
little bit
meeting
early,
is at
but I think
6.
in accordance with the, I'm sorry, in accordance with, I guess, Counselor, Mr. Mark, if we say we're going to start at 6 for a regular meeting, we have to abide by the clock. So we got about 10 minutes of breaking time here. Unless anybody's got any discussions or things that they would
I
like.
just got that announcement about the event.
Yeah, that's a good time to do this. I
Sure,
think we have several announcements here.
Yes.
Do you want to go first?
You first.
Okay. I just want to remind everyone and invite our guests here and our viewers at home about a Sounds of Downtown event. It's a prelude to Charo Days. It's put on by the Moody Clinic, the City of Brownsville, Charo Days Fiesta, Sombrero Fest, and Mr. Amigo. That's going to be going on this Saturday, February 11th, at the Ringgold Civic Pavilion at 7 p.m. The tickets are $35 per person, and that money is it's benefiting the Moody Clinic, which is a great nonprofit organization we have here in town. They fill in the gaps where a lot of the school district can't help their kids, or even some hospitals with therapy and other sorts of services. But they'll have a taquitos, tragos, and tequila bar. They'll have music and other sorts of entertainment. So if y'all can make it out this Saturday, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead.
Okay, next there's something I wanted to mention. There was a home in my district, actually 2 blocks from where I live, 17, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't give the address.
No.
It burned down to the ground, and there was a family with 4 little girls living there. And these 4 little girls lost every single possession that they had. I personally walked over and I saw the melted shoes and the pictures from the 1920s on the wall hanging that had been charred. And most of all, these 4 little girls were left with nothing. And so immediately, the community pulled together. I started posting on Facebook. The Brownsville Police Officers Association rounded up everybody that they could, and we started a drive to start collecting clothing and shoes for these little girls because they were left with nothing but the pajamas on their back. So I am so grateful to the community, KVEO Matt Fernandez for immediately putting it on the air. Brownsville Chisme put it out, and all of a sudden we had all of these citizens showing up with bags and shoes, backpacks for these girls, and they opened their hearts. It was a 6, 8, 11, and 12-year-old, and these are small children to have to deal with something like this. And immediately St. Luke's Catholic Church stepped in and made sure that the girls had they organized a place for them to live. The Catholic Charities have helped out a lot. There's a whole bunch of people here. Marianne Kingsbury, Aaron Garcia, and Fiesta Graphics have set up a location where if there's anything that you want to take to the little girls, you can drop it off at Fiesta Graphics. Little Builders Daycare was another one. One of their neighbors, Alice Bowden. Living Way Church, Red Cross, Hector Hernandez, everybody, Evie Perez, Diana Garcia, Arenay Martinez. Everybody stepped up to the plate and brought these little girls items. And this bear that I have here on my lap, I'm sorry, I didn't just bring him, was donated by Walmart. Walmart, the little girls said the one thing that they missed the most were their teddy bears. So immediately the management at Walmart got a hold of me, and they donated one of these bears for every single little girl, which is 4 bears. And so tonight, these little girls are going to have these bears from the commission meeting, and I wanted to really thank Walmart. That was very generous of them. And I wanted to personally thank every single person that opened their heart to these little girls who lost every possession, their bedroom that, they learned how to walk in. This has been their home since they were born. They lost everything they had, and I just want the community to remember that in our times of adversity, we need each other. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I do, on behalf of the city, on behalf of the entire commission, I'm sure that we all appreciate community involvement and helping one another, which is what it's all about. We still have a little bit of time, so let's take a 5-minute break from the meeting, and then we'll start the meeting at 6 o'clock.
That's a friend of mine.
Yeah, we're gonna do that actually. Estella, I think we're now past 6 o'clock. We'll get started.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, one. Brad, would you?
New inmate location is Caleb Carlson. He's the chaplain for the 99.
Father God, we just come before you today. We thank you for who you are and what you've done in our lives here. And we thank you for the city of Brownsville. We lift up this city. We thank you, Father God, that your word has gone forth. And Lord, you heal the brokenhearted, heal those that need you. And we thank you, Father God, that you're saving lives in this city. Lord, beyond everything that's happened in the past, present, and future, Father God, your grace covers this city. And we declare it right now. We also thank you for the leadership of this city. Lord, I thank you give them wisdom and revelation, knowledge of you. Father God, in everything that they do, Lord, everything they put their hand to shall prosper in the name of Jesus. And we declare it finished. In your will, let it be done. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. The next is the mayor's report, and I will make a brief statement. We've now entered the month of February, and I had the pleasure of being with some of the folks here in a trip for the Mr. Amigo events in Mexico City. Commissioner Longoria, Mr. Kabler, our city manager, Zeke, and there's a few others that I see around here from the different organizations. And I want to tell you it was an extremely enjoyable trip. The people were really excited in Mexico City. We had a wonderful media event, and we had the opportunity to visit Mr. Amigo. And I want to tell you that this young man who plays a telenovela, his name is Arad de la Torre. He plays Pancho Lopez. Anyway, he brought his entire cast, and I'm telling you guys, get ready for Char Days. This guy is great. He's a corazon, and you'll enjoy him a whole lot. And I think Char Days today, the Costume of the Americas, I was at a presentation. They're coming out with a book for the 75-year celebration. We've been having Char Days for 75 years, and for some of us that are a little bit older, it used to be because of the wonderful sistership that we had with Madam Morris that we started this 75 years ago. When I was a little bit younger than now, we used to go across the bridge. The parades would go. It was actually an open bridge situation, and so I want everybody to get ready. We're getting ready to Charo, okay? That concludes my report. Rose?
Just like to announce remind everyone to keep checking the Biggest Loser website. There are free events almost every single day, except for Sundays, and all of the Saturdays coming up. We had a lovely Zumba in front of Academy, one of our new sponsors, a couple weeks ago. And there's a lot of exciting things going on. There's some free nutrition classes coming up at the Infant Nutrition Center. So check the website. There's a lot to offer. The final count was 1,023 people that registered for Biggest Loser.
Congratulations. It's very good. Any other reports? Estella, I think will be now time for the proclamations. The first one.
Yes, sir. The first one is National School Counseling Week.
Okay, and that proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, designating February the 6th through the 10th, 2012 as School Counseling Week in our city. Whereas the school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are on the front lines serving our children, families, and communities when tragic events such as hurricanes, wildfires, school shootings, border violence, and student suicides occur, and whereas school counselors help students navigate and manage the difficulties of social pressures, learning disabilities, and the military deployment of family members, and whereas these educators work to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students to become productive members of society, and also help parents learn how to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children. And whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents, and these traits relate to career awareness and development. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of the City, do here designate February the 6th through the 10th, 2012 as School Counseling Week in our city, done on the 7th day of February, 2012. Tony Martinez, Mayor of Brownsville. Congratulations.
My name is Alma Leal, and I'm a counselor educator at the University of Texas at Brownsville, and I'm also president of the Texas Counseling Association. And I want to offer my sincere gratitude for making this week such a special one for us, because I know we work so hard. Here before you, you have Mr. Carlos Guerra, the Director of Counseling and Guidance for BISD, and his crisis counselors. Michelle, you want to say your name? Emilia, Martha Walker, and Alicia Salazar, who worked so beautifully. They led the school district in providing counseling during the recent tragedies in our community. So I'm so proud of them. And I have here with me students from my school counseling class too, who are here to advocate for school counselors and to show our gratitude. So thank you so much. Again, you made National School Counseling Week a very special one for us. Thank you also.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next proclamation is for Community Development Corporation of Brownsville.
This was Commissioner Villarreal and I wanted to make this proclamation. Can you hear me okay?
I don't.
Is this on?
There you
Okay,
go.
Okay. I had the great pleasure to attend the opening of the first LEED home in the Rio Grande Valley that was built right here in Brownsville by the CDBG. It was not only a beautiful house, but a terribly terribly efficient home. But what was even more lovely was when I found out that the students were involved with not only design, but building of the home. And it was it was a pleasure for me to see the home and to see their faces with such pride. And I'm sure that Nick is going to tell us a little bit about that program in a minute. So a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville recognizing CDCB housing program and youth build program in our city. Whereas in order to better meet the needs of its clients, the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville has built the first LEED for home certified house in the Rio Grande Valley. And whereas cost was an important consideration that went into designing the house, including materials, utilities, and transportation, and whereas trends in the economy caused all of these to become major sources of expense for low-income families, and CDCB changed its building practices to reflect this, and for low-income families, these savings are becoming a necessity they can't afford to live without. And whereas alone, CDCB will ultimately fail to change Brownsville into a sustainable community, and that's why it is working to bring partners in and ensure that these building practices are taken up by as many people as possible, and that's where Youth Build comes in. And whereas in CDCB's Youth Build program, low-income young people ages 17 to 24 work towards earning a GED or high school diploma, learn job skills, and serve their communities by building affordable housing, transforming their own lives, and taking part as a productive member of society. And whereas CDCB Youth Build provides a range of support services, including childcare, along with a training stipend, focusing on the effort to provide work opportunities in the participants' own neighborhood. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby recognize CDCB Housing Program and Youth Build Program, our city, and further urge all our citizens to make themselves aware of the invaluable work the people in these groups provide for our citizens. Done this 7th day of February, 2012. Signed the Mayor, Tony Martinez Jr., and the Commission.
Mr. Mayor, Commission, thank you very much. This is a great day for CDCB. It's 6 years ago, I never thought I'd be standing here. And the relationship is much better. Commissioner Longoria is laughing. It's great to be here. This is not about this one house. This is about changing lives. It's about changing the way homes are built. It's about changing the way that future construction tradespeople are taught. It's about changing the way that Brownsville is viewed in the rest of the country. And this house is the first step in doing that. When you make $18,000 a year and you're paying 30 to 35% for utilities and transportation costs, that equals what you're paying for your house payment. It's out of control, and we need to take the step to do that. And we thank you for this recognition, and thank you for supporting us.
Nick, before you leave, the first thing I want to do is I want to thank all of you for all your efforts, whether you're on the board, whether you're the director, whether you're the students that are doing this. You are really the leaders in the type of building that we are going to go to in the future. I happened to go with Larry Loft and Priscilla Rodriguez to Galveston and saw their first lead home up there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there when the commissioner was there. But I was talking to the folks that live there, and they told me, I said, well, so what is your bill, your utility bill at the end of the month? They said $37.
Right.
And so, and I think Nick and I have this going wonderful repartee because I can never remember all the acronyms that these guys use. And I know a little bit about lead homes, but would you explain to the folks in the audience and on television what that stands for?
Well, the LEAD program was set up by the USGBC, which is the United States Green Building. And it's a program that really helps builders and developers to reach both energy efficiency as well as building with sustainable building construction materials, the way that it's built, where we dump the trash, how we preserve the dirt when we're building it, so the dirt's not washing off into the street, how we recycle the material after it's being used, the different times of studs and everything that goes into it. It all has a point system. And so our home is a silver. This house cost no more than one of our regular homes would cost. And I want to make that very clear that it cost no more. We're able to get homeowners into this house for the same cost that it costs to build another home. It's just cheaper to live in. And that's really what LEAD is trying to do. LEAD is not the end all. It's not the thing that maybe we all want to do, but it is one of these standards that we decided to pick out and go for. So it's a great place to go. Our biggest goal is that we start building sustainable housing. And that's not only on the energy efficiency, on the utility side, but it's also the mortgage side, the education side. We want our home buyers to know what it means, as well as the students who are building it. These students are learning to build with tomorrow's technology today, right here in Brownsville. When these students graduate, they can go into any of the construction companies in this town with their certificate of building trades and say, I know how to build to LEED standards. Our curriculum is actually designed around building this house. This house that you visited, that Commissioner Gowan visited the other day, took us a year to build. It took us a year because we wrote a book on how to do it. And now this year, these students are building the second home, which they will then, it will take them a year, but it's our classroom. And then we're building it regularly. It takes us 3 months to build the house now. But we're actually using this house as a classroom for these students to learn in. And they're tested on it, they're judged on it, but when they're done, they will be the ones that our contractors and our developers will want to hire. And I'm very, very proud of that. They're very proud of it. This is only 4 of 25, and we have another class of 10 coming in 2 weeks. So, we're making sure that we flood the market with smart, intelligent students with GEDs, ready to work and ready to change the face of this city.
And it's great work, great
It's
work.
fabulous.
And I think, Commissioner, I think you went.
Nick, when I came in 2003, you were one of the first people that approached me. I know that nothing was ever wrong with CDCB. We just had administrative differences. But when you took me in to the first youth build, when we met out in McDavid,
Right.
3 of those students I keep in regular contact with. 2 of them are working within the contracting field and have been able to, at that time, those particular students had been BISD students but had problems.
Right.
And this program offered them an alternative. It gave them a career, if you will. And it's because of the success of Youth Build. So, to see new students coming into Youth Build, Youth Build not only provides them with the tools to succeed, it also gives them a better future, something to look at in order to succeed and to provide better for their families and themselves. So, with that in mind, thank you for everything you've done. I mean, you've been, everywhere with everything, and I really appreciate, every time I've called you and I've needed help, and then the work we've done with Tracy, it's unbelievable. Just the things that we've done, it's been able to provide the people in the southmost area. And then the people that live out behind the Cameron Park area on Dana Road, it's been able to provide them their homes. My compadres live in a home with the program that you all had where they could help build their own homes. Those tracts of land are proof, to everybody on how successful this program has been. And I don't know, do you still have the percentage? Do you have the accurate percentage right now as to, rarely, nobody loses their home.
No.
When they come into these programs, because of the counseling program, because of everything, people don't lose their homes.
No, we've lost 3 homes in the last 15 years. Yeah. Edna Osayeta, who's our deputy director, is also in charge of servicing, and she'll bend over backwards to make sure that people stay in homes. That's our goal. It's not to take anybody's home. It's not to it's to make sure that they stay in it, and that's part of being sustainable. It's not just the materials, it's not just the energy efficiency, but it's actually a loan product that is sustainable for that family to be in. And that's what it's all about. And we are very, very proud of what we've done. Mike Pierce, our board chair, who's been with us for 6 years, and I think he's looking forward to getting off of it, but this is...
We won't let him get off.
That's right. Yeah. But we're very proud of this. Thank you very much. And we look forward to many, many years and the changing face of Brownsville.
Very proud of you, students.
Don't forget about us on this side.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Go ahead.
Item number 4, presentations. Fire Marshal Ben Nunez.
doing, sir. Thank you.
Mayors, commissioners, city staff, and guests, thank you so much for allowing me the time to be here tonight. My name's Danny Warner, and I'm a director for the Texas Fire Marshals Association. And I was asked to come to Brownsville tonight to present a resolution to your recently retired Fire Marshal Ben Nunez. So, with your permission, from the Texas Fire Marshals Association, this resolution is presented to Ben Nunez in recognition of the fire prevention career with the city of Brownsville. Whereas Ben Nunez joined the fire service on July 14, 1981, and worked his way through the ranks, including those of fire inspector and fire captain. And whereas Mr. Nunez has spent just over the last 10 years as fire marshal for the city of Brownsville. And whereas Mr. Nunez has been personally responsible for the establishment of all the major fire prevention programs run by the department, including the Juvenile Fire Center Intervention Program and the Senior Citizen Fall and Burn Prevention Program. And whereas Mr. Nunez has reached thousands of high-risk citizens each year from preschool age to college students and the elderly. And whereas Mr. Nunez serves as the Vice President of the Brownsville City Employees Federal Credit Union Board of Directors. And whereas Mr. Nunez has served as a board member, as Awards Committee Chair, and as member of the Outreach and Development Committee for the Texas Fire Marshals Association since 2005. And whereas Mr. Nunez has dedicated the last 30 years of his life to the citizens of Brownsville, Texas. And whereas Mr. Nunez has earned the admiration and respect of his employees and colleagues in the fire prevention arena for his knowledge, dedication, enthusiasm, professionalism, sense of humor, and hard work. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the board takes great pleasure in recognizing the significant professional achievement of Ben Nunez, and herewith expresses its sincere gratitude for the invaluable contributions he has made to the fire prevention in the city of Brownsville and the state of Texas. Be it further resolved that this resolution be read in the permanent minutes of the Texas Fire Marshals Association, and that copies be sent to Mr. Nunez to share with his family, to Brownsville City Manager Mr. Charlie Kabler and Brownsville Mayor Mr. Tony Martinez, Texas. Ben, on behalf of the Texas Fire Marshals Association and on behalf of myself personally, I wish to thank you so much for your dedication and commitment to the fire service industry, especially fire prevention. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, it's truly been a pleasure serving the citizens of Brownsville in my capacity as fire marshal over 10 years and in the fire department just a little over 30. I want to start off with a true story. I had about a 10-day beard growth already, getting ready for Charro Days. My wife made me shave it off.
I know.
Before coming over here. I thought I was looking pretty cool because I thought I'd look like Pete Gonzalez.
You know,
she told me if you look like Pete Gonzalez, I would have let you keep it.
I'm glad they included sense of humor in that resolution.
Right.
We all know about Ben's sense of humor.
Well, Mr. Mayor, something that I would like to just tell our city manager and the commission is that the South Texas Fire Investigators Association is a very important asset for our department here in Brownsville, for our city, I think. We get experts from all over the valley, from Rio Grande City to Raymondville, and south usually. And there's a lot of expertise that we have here in the area of fire investigation here in the valley. All it costs us is maybe we might have to feed these guys lunch because firemen son comelones. But other than that, for the services that we get from the South Texas Fire Investigators Association, they're a very big and valuable asset that several administrations ago, there was a mutual agreement signed for liability purposes in case anybody gets hurt in anybody else's city. We'll go over to Harlingen, Weslaco, Mercedes, wherever it takes to assist them, and they'll do the same for us. So we need to keep that going. And I want to thank the mayor and the commission and all the wonderful staff that I worked with throughout the years. Having a supervisor like Deputy Chief David Hinojosa certainly made my job a lot easier. So thank you, David, for all the help that you've given me throughout the years, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much.
Next item is Employee of the Month.
Mayor, members of the commission, please help me welcome the Employee of the Month for February, Lorenzo Hernandez. Lorenzo has been with the city approaching his 25th year. He started as an EMS technician in 1987. He's adventurous, and in 2000 he decided to move on to Public Works. Worked there a few years and eventually wound up at the Health Department where he is today. He is a valuable asset to us. Obviously, he has maintained his training in the EMS field and things like that, where he can help us in many regards. He is also one of the people that go out and do a lot of the inspections relating to the product of our food at restaurants and things like that. He has been able to train and assist in many ways with new people coming into the department with an awesome responsibility relating to health and safety issues that we are responsible for in the city. And being that he is an EMS technician and maintains that, he helps us with the Biggest Loser program. He's out there doing the blood testing and things like that, all the things that get people prepared for a quality of life in our city. So we thank him for that as well, because that is volunteerism. He is recognized in February. He'll be and he is eligible for the Employee of the Year in our banquet in December. So we want to congratulate Lorenzo Hernandez, our Employee of the Month for February. Of course, he gets the pin.
Thank you.
Let me see. The plaque, Lorenzo Hernandez of the Health Department for the month of February, in recognition of your outstanding service to our city.
Thank you.
And we'll give him a watch. Make sure you're on time.
Yes, sir.
And of course, he's got a few words for the commission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. I also like to thank my supervisor, Arturo, our director. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Lorenzo, congratulations.
Consent agenda items A through D.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 6, consideration and action to appoint board members to the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation.
Mayor, we'd like to make 2 appointments tonight and table the following 2 for the following meeting.
Okay. There are 4 vacancies, if I'm correct, at the 4B level.
Correct.
And the 2 that you wish to nominate?
Commissioner Vasquez has a
Estela?
nomination.
There was Elizabeth Valdez Garza and Julia de la Garza.
Okay. And both of those have gone through the process at the applications and
They
have
both have applications on file.
and have followed all the prerequisites of the procedure that we adopted a couple of meetings
Yes.
ago, right?
Yes.
Do you have some question, Mr.
I had mentioned to Commissioner Gowan prior to the meeting, Commissioner Atkinson had 2 appointments on the board. And so with these 2 ladies, I think it only fair that Commissioner Vasquez get awarded one of those 2 that were given to District 2. And then that the next appointment be either on District 3, District 2, and the mayoral.
Well, I
That way
think-
we can keep it.
I think that was the whole process of trying to get away from that political system was the reason that process was initiated. So that, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the best candidates regardless of whether they come from the city, regardless of what district they come from. And that was the whole idea, if my memory serves me correct. Was that an understanding, Commissioners?
I realize that, Mayor, but in all fairness to it, we had also mentioned that we would have equal representation. And I believe that if these appointments are taken over just in this way, that we will not have equal representation. And as a district commissioner, I would expect that I would have representation on the 4B.
I would like to interject with that. I did notice that a majority of the applicants, probably all of them but two, are from my district. And although I would love that and would love additional representation from my district, I think that Commissioner Longoria, and we don't always see eye to eye, I think that he has a good point as far as representation.
Counselor, am I mistaken? Was this not the idea or what the process was that, in other words, I'm not trying to deny anybody any representation. What I'm saying to you is, it wasn't set out in there that every district is going to get, there was no per capita, any of those magical words that are used in the legal fashion that says, you're getting one person per district or anything of that nature. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct. The procedure that was adopted, or the policy that was adopted by the commission just a couple weeks ago, basically established and tried to establish an objective criteria for selecting the best candidate. Okay. Now, in keeping with the diversity of the city, diversity is something that the city commission can consider in making the appointments. But we got away from the old, each district takes a turn through this new procedure.
And again, it was not to deny anybody representation. It was to get it out of the system where sometimes the people that were placed on these committees either didn't have the time, were not qualified, or whatever, and it made it for a difficult process. Anyway, I think it works its way through. You can always vote down the nominee, I would presume.
What districts do the two
I
people
have
come
no
from?
idea where these districts are coming from.
There's those two, there's a mayoral appointment and there is a two District 2s, and both of them are up. So there could be a mayoral, maybe you should choose.
Well, I mean, I'd be happy to recommend one of those persons if they are, but this is what we were trying to get away from, is that...
Well, Mayor, the 4B services the whole city.
No, Commissioner, I don't want to argue with you, but I think I'm fully aware of what it is, okay? I know what they do, and I know what they're supposed to do. But there is nothing in this bylaws or the charter that says, hey, I'm going to have this district represented for this particular reason, or the mayor gets this particular appointment. That's exactly what I was trying to get away from. I wanted the best people to serve regardless of what district they came from. And I think that was the process, and that was the whole idea of trying to get this process approved, and it was voted up, if I recall.
That's correct.
And I believe one of them is from District 3 and the other one is from District 2.
Two of them are from District 2.
Julie De La Garza is from District 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, the
And
applicants.
Elizabeth Garza is from District 2.
Well, I think we'll just get it up for a vote. I mean, that's the way you can cure it. If it's not the pleasure of the commission, that's fine. Okay, so you're making nominations of two. That's your motion. We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Can we take a roll call?
Nay.
Okay.
I think you just want more time, right? Are you asking for it to
We
be
can either have more
tabled?
time,
What do you-
but like I suggested,
In my view, when you say that you want your districts equally represented, that means that the people serving on the boards come from a diverse, come from different districts.
Correct.
So that shouldn't matter who makes that nomination. You follow me? So either it's about you in particular making the nomination, or it's about your district being represented. So they're two different things. So you have to clarify that. There are two women that are fresh faces who are anxious to serve this community and come from two different districts. That sounds pretty good to me. The fact that one person didn't make it or the other person didn't make the nomination, in my mind, is a secondary thing. But it is the will of the commission.
In my opinion, it has nothing to do with who's making the nomination. That's just me. I see that there isn't a representative from District 4, and I didn't, quite frankly, agree with the policy that was passed at the last meeting. I had my reservations about it, and I expressed them. But I just think that sometimes you need representation from those individual neighborhoods that we represent, because it's
Sure.
for
There's
me,
still
it's
two,
a fair thing to do.
There's still two to make next week or next commission meeting.
Well, obviously, right now, that's good discussion. I think it's good for the commission. I think it's good for the city. But obviously, they weren't approved. Is that correct, Estella?
It was 4 nays.
4 nays, so the nays carry it, so there will be no appointments at this time.
So what are we to do the next time? Because we still have 4 openings, and we have grants waiting to be ruled on based on those, waiting for those 4 openings to be. So what are the rules for next time? Because
Well, the rules can't change unless we adopt a different policy.
The floor can,
This commission already adopted a policy at the last meeting, and I think...
I mean, what you're going to have here is, because you now have opposing views as to how the process is to work, and even though Commissioner Melissa had said she opposed it, it passed by a majority the last time. So now we're going to have to revisit it and revisit it or do something, because otherwise we're going to have a stalemate throughout, and you're not going to get any new members.
that's right.
if you want to make them on an individual basis, and like I told you, on the current makeup of the 4B board, there are 2 positions to the 4B with representing District 2. If you want to make one, since you don't have an appointment as per the alignment on here, you don't have a representative.
But
Then there's
Rick,
a
I believe the mayor already addressed that issue, and
If
you're
you
going
want-
back to the same thing. We
Like
had
I
already
said,
passed.
I'm willing to give you my vote if you take one of these slots on District 2 tonight.
But
and
Rick, we're going contrary to what we had already voted on.
Commissioner,
And it
like
passed
I'm
by a
telling you.
majority.
Yeah, no, I think we're going to have to revisit it. You've already had a motion, you've already had a second, and there are no appointments at this particular point.
The floor-
I think
We can
that
still
what
accept
happens
more
is,
applications.
yeah, we're just going to have to continue on this process, and we'll have to go on to the next
The
article.
floor is still open if you want to take those 2.
Okay, the next one is
So what
public
is-
comment.
I'm sorry, just to be clear, so this doesn't take these 2 ladies out of
No, it doesn't.
the application process.
No, it
And so
doesn't.
if we come back and the application was open and available, if we don't have candidates coming from your district applying to these positions, what is that going to do?
Commissioner, you represent the whole city. Therefore, like I'm telling you, you don't have an appointment to this board as of this list. If
Rick-
you make an appointment either to
I
Anthony
don't-
Troyanis or Rico Holloway's, you will have an appointment there for A.
Rick,
And if the
but-
mayor appoints the other one for his mayoral, you'll have 2 members tonight on the 4B so that she can conduct business.
Okay.
I'm not gonna let Tetro, or Commissioner Tetro, be without an appointment. I'm not, in other words,
Okay.
Part of the reason of tabling it is to allow Commissioner Tetro to have an appointment. Thank you.
All right.
So if the mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Saucy, if the mayor takes one appointment officially and Commissioner Vasquez takes the other appointment officially, we're okay, according to that rule.
But that's good. There's
Okay.
absolutely nothing, like I said,
There's
I don't
nothing
want to
like this
overrule
in the
my.
procedure at all, where every district gets a turn. I mean,
We don't have that, in the process.
I'm not the one,
No, I know. But let's go ahead to public hearing, okay? Go ahead. Let's move on.
Item number 7, public hearing. Mr. Mauro Aviles. action to authorize the Charo Days Fiesta to use the city streets at the end of Palm Boulevard at the intersection of Mexico Boulevard at former Amigoland Mall area for the 75th Annual Charo Days 20th Century Rides Carnival from February the 20th, 2012 through March the 6th, 2012.
This is the traditional event that we have at the end of Palm Boulevard every year. As an awareness, Charo Days is beginning this month, and they stay 7 days after the Charo Days, and we're just letting you know that they'll be there and requesting your authorization.
Approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Just as an awareness, we're also working with Circus Vasquez to come in after this event is over with and continue the momentum of having an event out there for our families of the city of Brownsville and our neighboring cities.
And Circo Olay también?
Circus Vasquez.
Sorry, guys. Thanks. Action number 9.
Item number 9, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2012-002 to amend the general fund and airport fund to provide funding for the fire department collective bargaining employees as per the adopted December 13th, 2011 contract.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is just like a housekeeping item. This is a contract that was approved on December 13th when we prepared the budget for 2012. This additional amount was not included in the original budget, so tonight we're asking you to provide funding for this particular contract. The total amount is $408,766. It involves the general fund and the airport fund. And again, we ask that you approve this amendment.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 10, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2012-019 to amend the general fund, convention and tourism fund, community development fund, landfill tipping fee increase fund, airport fund, motor vehicle parking system fund, public transit, Brownsville Golf Center fund, and 2008 CO fund to provide funding for cost of living adjustments to non-collective bargaining employees.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is an item that it's a budget amendment to provide cost of living adjustments to city employees that are non-collective bargaining employees. The total amount that by fund here, general fund, is $414,994. Now this is for starting with a full pay period in February of 2012. Along with that, you also have other funds, the Convention and Tourism Fund, $7,049. Community Development Fund, it's a federal supported fund, so $14,868 is allocated or budgeted from the grant. Landfill tipping fee increase fund is also self-sufficient, so they will provide their own additional funding, $44,418. The airport, the city general fund will provide that additional amount of $20,425. The Fund 63, which is a motor vehicle parking system fund, would be $6,215. Self-sufficient fund, they will provide these funds. The public transit fund, 50/50, $27,766 from the general fund and $27,766 from the bus fund. The golf center fund, it'll be a subsidy from the general fund of $7,538, and then there's also a CO fund that will provide their own funding of $4,550. Altogether, the general fund's contribution to this is $477,771. Other self-supporting funds will be $97,817. I might add that this COLA is for employees that have not received an adjustment for the last 4 years.
So we haven't adjusted an increase in living expense in 4 years?
Years.
Okay.
105.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
The number one question. Are we free from Me Too?
We're free from Me Too. This is a
These are
three-
just for the non-union?
Right, and it's a 3%.
These are non-collective bargaining employees?
Okay.
It does not, no, right.
Yeah,
The answer-
they're not in a collective bargaining situation, so they don't apply at all.
No, but collective
As-
bargaining in the past.
As long as we don't exceed what they are receiving.
Right.
There is no Me Too
No, but
that
yeah,
applies.
I think we looked at this issue, right, Pete?
No, but we had years where collective bargaining had been at zero. So therefore, we had 3 years of collective bargaining being at zero as per an agreement that they made with the city commission. And if we gave any kind of a percentage to non-civil service,
Yeah,
they
I
could
know,
have
but
Me Too.
that's not the case now.
Well, now,
That's not the
would you
case.
approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Now they're going to have to work a little harder for that 3%, right?
Item 11, consideration and action to acknowledge the financial statements and cash investment report for the city of Brownsville for the first quarter ended December 31st, 2011.
Honorable members of the city commission? No. we don't. This is the quarterly report for the period that ended December 31st of 2011. We are required to present to you financial reports on a quarterly basis, and this is our first one for the year 2012. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. Along with that, we also have a report that has more information that distributed to the city commission on a quarterly basis, and it's also being submitted to you for your inspection or for your review. Some of the highlights for this quarter are highlighted here. Based on the first 2 months receipts from the Veterans Bridge, we have the months of October and November. We see an increase based on from prior years of 85,000. This is after a 5-year decline in revenues from the Veterans Bridge. Building permits continue to remain steady. We had a very strong first quarter, but that change in when you include January's numbers, and I will have later a presentation on this. Sales tax, which is one of our major revenue sources, is showing a 2.2% growth from over the previous year, but we're only about 1% above budget projections. Unemployment, I guess, continues to be a problem. In 2011, we had an unemployment rate of 12.5. That compares to 11.7 in 2010. And this information comes from the Texas Workforce Commission. As far as ad valorem taxes is the #1 revenue source for the city. 68.43% of the tax levy has been collected through the first quarter that ended in December. This compares to 68.06 over the same period as 2011. Utility expenditures are 5% higher than the same quarter last year, and we see that if you look on page 18 of the report, there's a little more detail. If you look on this particular report on page 18, you'll see some of those areas that have shown a decrease and also an increase. And we looked at the Parks Department. They had that Parks and Recreation Center that just opened, and then we have the bus terminal that opened. This obviously tended to increase the utility usage. And that's something that we need to point out all the time, that if we add additional facilities, that means that our utilities are going to be a little bit higher than the previous year. And the PUB, obviously, when they present the cash transfer to the city, or when they make transfers to the city in cash, they reduce the utility usage that the city has. There are some areas where we have done real good as far as lowering our utilities, and one that stands out is the City Plaza. That building has reduced. We have reduced utilities by 29%. And again, the more savings we have in utilities, the greater of cash transfer that is made to the general fund from PUB. Hotel motel tax continues to be a problem. Right now we're at 1948, below the same period as last year. This gives you an information on what we had last year as far as sales taxes. For the first quarter of last year, we had a 5.95 growth. This year, we only have a 2.22%. If the trend continues with a 0.6688% on the budget side, we see an increase on our budget of about 153,160, assuming that the trend continues with this very small increase. This is a chart of the sales tax going back to 2002 all the way to 2012. 2012 is an estimated or a budget amount. We're still behind the 2008 number of 25,183,840. We're getting closer, and hopefully in 2013 we'll be able to reach the 2008 numbers. Bridge, which the Veterans Bridge, that's the bridge that we share profits or losses with Cameron County. We have the first 2 months of the year. That was last year. This year, we're at 23% above budget or 8% above the actual. So looking at the numbers, we see probably about $100,000 increase between 2011 and 2012. Again, 2006 in the Veterans Bridge revenues was very, very high. We started a decrease beginning in 2007, and it continued all the way to 2011. We expect to see a rise beginning with 2012.
Hey, simply because I live around the area and I see the traffic going through it, like you mentioned, could you go one slide back, please? Okay. We did see this kind of a trend. Now, when I'm driving home, I see all these trailers again. So, and that's why I see it, coming back up. So, I'm thinking that, something's been going on in Mexico or something's going on at the port. Routes are going out again. I see a lot more traffic going in. So hopefully our numbers will go back up, man, because this is...
Well, one of the areas that we need to point out is that Veterans Bridge did have a capital improvement done recently. And again, that means that they have to pay more, or the Cameron County pays more on their debt. So again, we share equally. Whatever the profit is, we go 50-50. If their expenses go up, obviously the profit for us is less. But they did some expansion there at the Veterans Bridge recently, and that's also added to the cost.
Thank you, Pete.
Building permits, last year we were down 35, this is for the quarter, 35.7%. In December, for the quarter, we were up 60%, but if we go back to January, which includes 4 months, we're holding steady, a 0.12% decrease. And we're hoping that this will get better as we move forward. Building permits is just, again, 2008 was the strongest year. We're slowly coming back. Unemployment rates, 12.3% in 2011. Reserves, these are the fund balance reserves. We in 2011, even though this is unofficial because our audit has not been completed, we ended the year with a 13.8% fund balance. And that's another chart that shows the difference between the budget and the actual fund balance. We recently approved a reserve for the general fund of 15%. 2011, we were very close to 15%, 14.7, 14.5, as far as reserves in our bank account or in our general fund. This is a beginning here. We'll show you the general fund activity for December, and in December. There's a budget in revenues of $86,697,750. Of that, for the quarter, we've already collected $29,387,370, or 34% of the revenue budget has been collected. The number one, obviously, there is the property taxes. Property owners do pay early to get that discount of 3, 2, and 1, 3% in October, 2% November, and 1% in December. And that's the reason why we collect most of our taxes in the early part of the year. Expenditures, we're supposed to be at 25%, so we're 27 right now. Again, the latest budget shows a fund balance of $12,288,000. Right now, we're at a fund balance of $19,443,185. This is just the balance sheet of the general fund. The budget for the general fund shows again $12,290,917. We are, in other words, this indicates that we're using $1.5 million from the beginning fund balance. For the year, $29 million in revenues, $23 million in expenditures, revenues over expenses by $5.6 million. Again, the fund balance should be, in this case, it should be December instead of November, instead of September. Convention and Tourism Fund, the hotel motel tax is down. This fund requires a subsidy from the general fund that has not been made. It will be done later. It's $385,000. Community development is an in and out. It's all federal funds. Non-bonded debt, $11,678. Our debt service fund, this is the fund that pays all our debt. We have a fund balance of $13,007,500. Landfill tipping fee and then fund balance of a little over $1,076,000. Airport fund, we have revenues of $558, expenditures of $989. We still have not made a transfer from the general fund of $845,000. The bridge, which I just went over, motor vehicle parking system has a $4,419 revenues over expenditures, pretty flat. Public transit, again, public transit, the city covers half of the losses, and the federal government also covers half of the loss. In this case, the net loss for the quarter, $825,078. FTA, or Federal Transportation Administration's portion, 50%, $412,539, and then the general fund or other revenue sources pick up the difference of that equal to the half of what the federal government provides. The Gulf Center, where expenses exceeding revenues by $57,728. There still hasn't been a transfer made from the general fund in this fund for $300,000. The medical insurance fund, this is for the 3 months that ended December. We show receipts over contributions over expenditures of $314,2752. Fund balance in this fund is $4,169,384. Then the other, as we go forward, these are all the ERA grants that the city has had for the last few years. It's a continuation, one by one, 153, 154 fund, 156, Department of Energy, Department of Justice. And then, of course, at the end, we have the investments. This is the period for December 10, comparing December 10 and comparing December 11. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions of Pete? Do I hear a motion?
Move to acknowledge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Do you need approval also, or just acknowledge?
Just acknowledge, yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. You got your acknowledgement.
Item 12, consideration and action to amend the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation's Type B Corporation bylaws.
Go ahead.
I'm Delina Barrera, functioning as the BCIC Executive Director. The BCIC Board is requesting for the City Commission to approve 2 amendments to the bylaws. One amendment is to, instead of having the directive of the 3rd Monday of the month for the meeting, to leave it open so that they can meet as required. The BCIC is still required anyway to post all meetings for any meetings that the BCIC board has. The other item, which is section 3.08, is currently under the bylaws. It has that if an individual misses 3 regular meetings, then they can be considered for being taken off the board, and they want to change that to just 3 meetings, not specifying regular meetings.
Any discussion?
the thinking of the feeling of the board is that special meetings are called for special reasons. Those are important, otherwise we wouldn't call a meeting. So when someone gets out of that 3 regular meeting rule by saying, well, it wasn't a regular meeting, that just delays business and prolongs the time when we have an absent seat at the board table.
3 absences for what amount of period? On a yearly?
It's 3
Yes.
consecutive.
3 consecutive absences.
Yes.
What I don't understand is when GBIC had the same problem, when we had individuals who missed consecutively 4, 5, 6 absences, and nothing was done when I tried to bring it before the commission. And now we're trying to implement this policy for BCIC, where it's 2 regular, 1 special. It's just, it conflicts for me. It just.
But we're talking about 4B tonight, not GBIC.
I know.
If you want to bring the.
I'm talking about the same type of thing and same mindset when it comes to BCIC, yet we didn't implement that same mindset with GBIC. So I just don't understand. That's just my thoughts.
I mean, I think one of the issues is actually this exact issue that we're talking about, the issue of special meetings versus regular meetings. I think the purpose behind this is to clarify it. If you have 2 ways out, in other words, it wasn't a special meeting, it wasn't a regular meeting, it was a special meeting, and therefore the three consecutive meetings doesn't count. Or if it's an excused versus an unexcused absence, but there's a provision in the bylaws that doesn't say who makes the excuse. Is it the board as a whole? Is it the executive director, or is it the chairman of the board? So, Commissioner, with due respect, I think there's different issues in each of the corporations and each of the bylaws, and you're trying to clump them all together, and they're really unrelated, and they need to be addressed with on a separate basis.
No, I understand why this needs to be implemented. I know that there's business that needs to be conducted. On that same token, I see that there's very important business on a board that oversees millions when you have individuals missing on a consecutive basis. I know we're not talking about GBIC tonight, but I see it as apples to apples when you're trying to implement one policy with one board and not doing the same policy for another board when we let it pass.
Well, I think there's.
I just want to put that on the record because I do have issues with that.
I think there's 2 different sets of bylaws, and both bylaws should be. I think that's a legitimate issue, Commissioner. I think they should both be considered on a separate basis by the Commission.
All right, but I think we're going back to 4B. And again, duly noted and well taken, and I think that GBIC, I'm sure there's some members out there from GBIC that they're going to be taking a look at that as well. At least that's probably part of my recommendation to them.
Yes, I appreciate that.
No, I think that's exactly why the whole process was initiated here, is to hopefully take the politics out of it. I don't argue with the representation from each district, and that maybe that ought to be a consideration in the process, but that wasn't included in what we passed a couple of weeks ago. But I think that we can visit with each other individually, or however we do this, to try to make sure that happens, so that we can have a win-win situation. There's no sense in not trying to do the best that we can for Brownsville. So do I hear a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'll say it. Yeah, I support that.
Yeah. Okay.
Was
item number 13.
that a unanimous?
Yes.
United. I mean, it's.
Item 13, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-006 to institute a nonprofit leasing policy for the leasing and use of city buildings by nonprofit organizations.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, this resolution lays out the procedures for making available city facilities to nonprofits. Attached to this resolution is the policy itself, basically into 4 sections, which goes over the type of nonprofit and when there's available space, the application process, the liability issues, and also, more importantly, that they do have to pay rent when they're utilizing one of the city facilities. So I ask for your approval of this resolution, which will approve the procedures as well.
Would you approve?
Yeah, and I mean, before we do that, What is the purpose of this resolution then? I'm sorry.
The purpose of this resolution, Mayor, is it outlines the procedures for making city facilities to nonprofits, such as we had discussed before, like, for example, the Monroe House. Now, the old city library, we're going to refurbish. How do we get those nonprofits into those facilities if they need space? And if we do have,
We have no policy for nonprofits, period?
No.
Okay. That's what I wanted to find out. Okay, I think I have a motion and a second before the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-020 to authorize the mayor to enter into a joint development agreement with the Brownsville Housing Authority for the development of new decent housing and suitable environments for people of low to moderate income.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioner, ask for this item to be tabled, please, tonight.
For the table?
All those in favor say tabled. Agree? Aye. Okay, motion tabled.
Item 15, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of one asphalt paver for the Brownsville Public Works Department.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, at the request of the Public Works Director, Santana Torres, the Purchasing and Contracting Services Department has solicited a buy-board proposal for the purchase and delivery of one new 2012 asphalt paver to be used by the Brownsville Public Works Department. Under Section 791.025 of the Local Government Code, under interlocal cooperative contracts, what is it? Oh, an agency with whom the City of Brownsville has entered into an interlocal agreement. Therefore, it's been satisfied for procurement. The specific vehicle or heavy equipment will be replacing an obsolete 1999 asphalt paver. Due to the difficulty to find parts for this machine. It's just right now we're renting a machine because it's down. So therefore the recommendation is to purchase and delivery of one asphalt paver for the Brownsville Public Works Department to Cooper Equipment of San Antonio, Texas in the amount of $186,801.47. This procurement reflects buy-board contract pricing under contract number 348-10. Funding for this paver will be derived from the 2011 GO Fund Account 86-417-947 from the Public Works Department. And the recommendation, we have a recommendation from the Public Works Department.
Would it approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.